This is Contractor Sense with Ruth King.
Welcome to Contractor Sense. Here you discover ideas, tactics, news, and information that matters to your contracting business and you. I'm your host, Ruth King. This episode is sponsored by Profitability Movement. Google Profitability-Movement to join this community of business owners focused on building profit, increasing wealth, and giving back. Thank you for joining us. Here is how we will help your business and you today. Contracts. You need them to protect you in business. Many contractors think that when they receive a contract, they can't negotiate the terms. My guest today, Cian Brennan, will explain how you can negotiate contracts that make the terms better for you. Cian, welcome to Contractor Sense.
Thanks for having me, Ruth. 271 podcasts. That's fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You have one too, right?
Yes. We have one called Construction Secrets.
Yeah. So, the thing that really impressed me when I was doing the research and going onto your website was how many testimonials where you saved them so much money and you did this and you did that. It was just really cool to see it. So the question that I'm going to get, and many of our listeners get, it doesn't matter whether you're in the UK, Australia, US, whatever, you still have to negotiate a contract, correct?
100%.
Yeah. So why is it you think that contractors think, okay, I got this contract, I have to sign it even though I don't like it? I know a lot of contractors who do, but is it mindset or where does that come from?
It is 100% mindset. And it's also a lot of times it's the stage in business or the size of business that they are. And so a couple of things that can be taking place. One is they're a small enough business that their pipeline isn't big enough and that they really, really need this job regardless. And so they're but then they're going to just sign it to make sure that they get it almost frantically. Mm-hmm. And so the thing is, it doesn't work that way. Having been on the client side for my whole career, I can tell you with absolute certainty that is not the best thing. You actually don't look good when you do that. So just imagine you're in a competitive bidding scenario and there's 4 or 5 different bidders. And so 4 out of those companies try to negotiate, right? The contract. Mm-hmm. And you don't try to negotiate. The client, right, doesn't look at you as easy to deal with. They look at you as, oh, these guys are green.
Or they're stupid, one of the two.
Green is stupid. And so it actually detracts against what you're doing. And so when I'm having these conversations with these contractors, I go, who's the biggest guy in your field? Tell me the biggest version of your company. And they'll say, whoever it is. And I'll go, are they contractual? Oh, yes, extremely contractual. Or commercial, or whatever their language is.
Yeah.
But they're viewed very professionally. And everyone speaks the reputation of that big company is, yes, they're contractual, but they're professional. And that's what I want people to think about is it is okay to negotiate if you do it in such a way where you come back and, hey, this doesn't make sense, or this doesn't work, and this is really going to bang up my insurance, or this is blah, blah, blah. They go, okay, we can move here, 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 and here. And you end up looking a lot more professional. You end up signing a contract that has a lot less risk. You can set yourself up to have better cash flow, better margin, and avoid disputes. That's why we try to negotiate better contracts.
Yeah, one of my clients did, they had performance guarantees in there. And the supply chain was such that we couldn't tell, when they were going to get the equipment to put it in. And he just said, no, I'm not doing a performance guarantee. And this is why. And they actually accepted it.
Yeah.
He told them why.
So let me tell you, this is a different thing I've been trying to get our clients to do. And I hope your clients take away from it, right? Is I've been asking my clients to ask for a prepayment, regardless of the size of contract. We're talking tens of billions. We're talking a couple of 100,000s. We're talking big. I'm asking, go and ask, and you financial guru, Ruth, you'll understand, right? If you can get a prepayment up front, it makes your cash flow for the whole project so much better. You'll get your cost of acquisition back. You'll get your upfront costs back. It'll make a huge difference. And so one person came back to me, and I'm on a call, and he's like, no, they'll never accept it. They'll never accept it. And I chatted to a different CEO, and he's like, yeah, I've been doing this for 2 years. Everyone I asked, they pretty much let me through. I was like, oh, fantastic, right? And so if you can structure your, maybe a tip for if you're competitive bidding, or even if you're not competitive bidding, the way to go about it is to submit an alternative bid to your client to say, hey, if you give us a prepayment, and give them a reason why you want the upfront payment. And typically it's to secure materials because the supply chain is so bad, secure people because no one can get people. You can use those and go, actually, it's in your favor because we can lock all of those things in, which means we're definitely going to be able to deliver in your project. And in exchange for that, we will knock a percentage off the contract value.
Uh-huh.
And so you're trading cash flow for a percentage. But if you're in construction long enough, you know that there'll be changes and there'll be delays. And if you're good at the paperwork, you're going to make your margin back in the post-award phase.
Or if it's not competitive, you can add it in and give it back too.
Exactly. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So when you look at clients, when clients come to you, are they coming because they negotiated a bad contract? Or are they coming because they need help negotiating a contract, or both?
It depends on how sophisticated they are. So smaller companies that come to us, they will probably be hurting.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want this to happen again. Bigger companies may have hurt in the past, but they're like, okay, well, we internally don't have the capacity to be able to review every contract and read through every page and prepare and try to negotiate every single one. So it depends. Sometimes it's just expertise and time.
Good. All right. So when you're looking at a contract, I mean, one of the things that is almost in all larger contractors, a lot of larger contracts especially, is retainage.
Mm-hmm.
And do you put retainage requirements in the contract, like X number of days past the CO or something like that? In the US, we have certificate of occupancy, and that usually says everything's there. We want our money. And that's generally in the US contracts. Is it in yours in Australia or not?
Yeah, I mean, so we're in the US as well, so we're fully up to speed on that. But it is the problem that with retainage is, depending on where you are in the contractual hierarchy,
Mm-hmm.
you can be tied into not getting your retainage back until the project is completed. The full, total project, not just your contract project.
Right. Yeah.
Which is terrible, again, for cash flow. So what we always say is, hey, look, I appreciate that you're part of a bigger project, right? But I only have a contract with you. And so when my work is done, then I want to get my retainage back. Probably half the retainage straight at CO, and then the remainder of the retainage at the end of the warranty or defects liability period.
Got it. All right. Before we take a break, if somebody wants to get in touch with you, how do they do it?
Well, firstly, so we've got a podcast called Construction Secrets and a YouTube channel called Construction Secrets. And actually on that YouTube channel is a playlist that is essentially it's 16 videos of exactly what to negotiate and how to negotiate your contract. So that's probably the most valuable place to go. So just search Construction Secrets anywhere. You can learn absolutely everything. The podcast basically is the money side of construction, if that's of interest. And then if you want to work with us, you go to quantumcontractsolutions.com, and then we'll essentially do it for you.
Sounds great. We'll be right back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense.
Many times, relatives are recruited to do your company's books without knowing how to do the books. Or you hire a bookkeeper who really doesn't know bookkeeping. If this is you, then your books are probably inaccurate. You probably pay more taxes than you should, and you rarely look at a P&L and balance sheet because you know they are wrong. What do? Have your bookkeeper enroll in Ruth King's Contractor Bookkeeping Basics. After completing this online course, your bookkeeper will know bookkeeping. You'll get accurate financial statements that help you make good business financial decisions. To enroll, click on the link in the show notes or call us at 770-729-0258. Enroll today.
We're back. Thanks for listening to Contractor Sense. I'm talking with Cian Brennan, and I'm going to get this right eventually. And you're laughing at me. He has a lot of expertise. And if you go to his website, Quantum Contract Solutions, you can see all the testimonials of all the people that you've worked, well, probably not all the people that you work with, how much money you've saved them, how much trouble you've kept them out. What are some of the horror stories that you can share? We don't have to share names, that you have avoided some contractors from getting in trouble with.
I can give you a really bad horror story. Okay, they came to us after this and we helped them, but I'll just give you a horror story of what can happen. So there was this civil contractor in Eastern
You don't even have to say where it is.
Okay, oh, it's okay, it's all right. In Brisbane, Australia, and a big multinational company, actually US owned company, where the head guys, and their project manager on the site said to them, look, there's so many different changes and there's whatever, just what I need you to do is just don't submit change orders for any of these. I want you to put them all into one big change order and then I'll approve it all in one go. Okay. Which is alarm bells for me, right?
Yeah,
right now, it's
too.
alarm bells. Okay. So they said, okay. And so they did that. And so they submitted and the project manager approved the change order. Okay. The company then paid the change order. It was about $1 million of a change order.
Okay.
And then what we always talk about is with our clients is the last quarter of a construction project is when things get really hairy. And sometimes these companies bring in closeout teams. And they brought in a closeout team and the project manager went off to a different project. And the closeout team sent them a letter saying, we approved, just letting you know that it's payment on account, okay, or set off, right? Which means money can transfer one way and back. Mm-hmm. And so just letting you know, it's payment on account. And those variations were that change order was approved in error because you didn't comply with the contract and submit your notices as and when they happened. Therefore, it's no longer approved. Your final payment claim was 1.5 million, so we're taking $1 million off it.
Oh my God.
So that's probably the worst horror story that I have. And then we have, we went to battle basically, but that's what can happen.
Yeah.
And yeah.
The moral of the story is don't put everything at once. As you do it, submit the change orders.
Yeah, 100%. It actually looks better there's a couple of different reasons you want to do it, even for the small ones. So as you go, you got to put your notice in, you got to put your change order in. So as you go, if you're doing it, you can the first thing that tends to happen is you'll do work and the client won't approve your change order for ages, for a long time. And that kills your cash flow again, right? And so you're basically financing the project for them. And if you're doing it for the little ones, you can start to train them as soon as they don't do it. So they don't pay you, they don't approve it quickly. Then you say, hey, you haven't approved my change order, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden, that, or maybe this is the type of client you're dealing with now, that they don't do that. And so you're like, okay, so in the future, you can say, well, actually, I mightn't take on this next change order because you haven't approved it, and you can start making some smart decisions. That's the first thing. The second thing is, in the fourth quarter of a construction project, when things kick off, you can go, hey guys, look, you've changed the project. Look, we have 20 change orders here, 25. You've changed it so many times. How could you ever expected me to approve it to complete it on time? And you get some backup. You got some paperwork where you can start working towards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I find that if it's not in writing and it's not done immediately, they have a tendency to have what I call CMS, which is convenient memory syndrome.
Yes, exactly. And people move on, Ruth, right? So first of all, the larger construction company, larger GCs will bring in a closeout team in the last quarter, right? So that means they bring in new people, the old people will go away. The second thing is, if you're a project manager and you've been on a construction project for a couple of years or a year or whatever, and you get the opportunity to go on another project that's 2 or 3 years long, what are you going to do? You're probably going to take it, right? Because you're job security.
Yeah.
So it's not that relationships are important. They're very, very important. But the thing is, they can go missing. And then everyone relies on the contract and everything you've agreed before goes away.
Yeah. And especially if it was verbal, forget it. It's over. It's absolutely over. Have you had situations where that a payment wasn't made and the contractor walked off the job?
We've had a lot of, it depends on the contract, but we've had a lot of situations where our clients will be like, I'm walking off the job, I'm going, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you do that, I know that sounds like the thing to do, but the contract that you've signed, if you do that, they're going to say that you've not complied with the contracts, and that you have to find someone else, and they're going to bill you for it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not always an ideal thing to do, right? I know it sounds like the thing to do, but oftentimes it's not.
No, because you're right. Nine times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, the contract, for all intents and purposes, prevents you from doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's very important. The termination clause in the contract needs to be very clear that you can terminate the contract if they don't pay you.
Yeah. And if that's in there, you can terminate the contract.
Exactly. Yeah.
If it's not in there,
You still have to go about it in a specific way, but yes, in theory, yes, you can.
yeah. That to me, that's always the last resort. It's, they're frustrated, you're frustrated, it's not working, it's like, I hate it when it gets to that point. It's not fun.
It's not fun.
Nobody wins in that point.
No one's, yes, it's a race to see who loses the least amount of money.
Yeah. And that's not how you want to do jobs. You want to do them so that everybody wins. Not everybody. We have win-lose. That generally doesn't do very well. All right. In the last minute or so that we have together, what are some final thoughts you have, or some things that always should be in contracts that you see?
If you're negotiating a contract, the first thing is that one we just talked about there. We want to make sure that you can get out. Okay, so a lot of contracts, the way they're written, they'll list all the ways that they can terminate you. Termination for convenience, termination for default, whatever it happens to be. But then you look at it and go, there's no way I can terminate them. Right now, you in theory, you could do it outside of the contract, but it just makes it very hard. So you want to make sure that you can terminate them unless they pay you. That's probably one of the biggest ones. It gives you the most strength to be able to get out and not keep incurring costs. The consequential damages, consequential loss of profit is a very important one. That's just a no-no. So to give your listeners an understanding, I think most people understand liquidated damages. So imagine if you were engaged to build a hotel and you delay the GC in building the hotel, okay? Because of that, or let's just say the client, the owner of the company, to make it the owner of the building, to make it easy, you delay them in the construction, and so liquidated damages are to compensate them for the cost of you being late. So other contractors are late, so now they have to pay them more money. There's costs of you being late. That's what liquidated damages are for. Consequential damages are for them not being able to rent out the hotel rooms and losing money because of that. The problem is, if depending on the size of your company, loss of profit of your clients could be big enough to end your company.
Yeah, it puts you out of business. Yeah,
it puts you out of business. And so they're two very important ones.
Yeah. So one last time where people can get a hold of you, if they want to. I know the YouTube channel, you want to mention that again. And then if they want to engage you, Quantum Contract Solutions, correct?
Yes, exactly. That's it. So quantumcontractsolutions.com is if you want to engage us, if you want to learn as much as possible, construction secrets on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube.
Cian, thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate your knowledge.
Thank you, Ruth.
And thanks to all of you for joining us. Choose one thing that you discovered and implement it in your business. These ideas, tactics, and strategies help you make more money, have more free time, and give back. If you like today's program, spread the word. Please review this podcast on any device you are listening to it on. Help a fellow contractor make more money too. For comments or questions, call me at 770-729-0258 or email ruthking@hvacchannel.tv. Thanks for listening. Have a great and profitable day.